All right.
I did use your line today about asking somebody how they were supposed to feel when they walked in their house.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it went well. They, they're like, oh, that's a really good question, and get them thinking, I'm sure we'll end up doing that project. It's just,
Well, what it actually does, that question. So the question is, how do you want to feel as you walk through this house, right? Or this space? How do you want to feel? And what it does is it actually stops them thinking and starts them feeling. You flip them from an intellectual mindset into an emotional mindset. How do you want to feel as you move through this house? And the other question like that is, what does this space mean to you? Right? You ask those two questions back to back, and a third of the time, someone will be crying.
I neglected the second one. Next time I meet them, they're getting that one.
Give them the old one too. And bring a handkerchief.
Yes, I'm going to.
Because it's quite emotional. What it does is take them into an emotional state of mind, and it takes them into a state of mind where they start to connect with the fact that this is not just a construction project. This is a life project for our family or for our business.
The other thing I think it does is that, people, especially a lot of guys or whatever, they like to hide behind the nuts and bolts. They really don't want to face what they're doing. And as an architect, you really have to get rid of that barrier. You have to get past just the list and ask those emotional kind of questions so you can find out where they're really at.
Correct. Yeah.
So
what's the why?
Question.
And it's effectively, what's the why behind this project? What's your why? Because no one's going to spend $1 million unless they've got a very strong reason. And as a good architect, you need to know that very strong reason, because you can't really deliver unless you know the why. And in fact, the why is what you're looking to deliver. The light and the color and the space and the angles, they're just tools that you use to get someone the outcome that they really want, which is to feel a certain way when they're moving through that space. Those are just your tools. Those are your tools. Don't think that, it's just like your business is not the end game. Your business is just the vehicle you use, hopefully, and this is where people make the mistake, but your business is just a vehicle to get you the life that you really want, whether it's money and prestige and status or all those types of things. But your vehicle is not the end. Sorry, your business is not the end point. It's just it should be just a vehicle, and that's how it should be viewed. And then you keep it in context. And the space that someone's getting you to design, that's not the end point. The end point is what that space is going to do for them. And when you remember that, then you're more connected to, I think you're connected to something which is more important than, the details of the design. You need to be connected to their why and to their purpose and what they're really trying to achieve.
The thing is what will happen is that that will come out throughout the process. If it comes out 3/4 of the way through, you'll be redrawing that project, because eventually they'll have little resistance to ideas. And
yes, and you won't know why.
Down.
And you won't know why.
Yeah.
And that is possibly the difference between a good architect and a great architect. I mean, taking away the design skills, because you've all got that, but a great architect finds out the why early, in the LCC phase. Whereas a good architect might discover it halfway through and wonder why they're having fights with the client all the time. And that's why those why questions are so important. And there's a questionnaire in the LCC section of the training there's a questionnaire and it has a lot of those why questions that you can lay down or just cut and paste. And they're pretty important to go through, I would suggest, because you do want to find out the why before you even start the design. And it helps them as well, because bear in mind, they don't know what they're really after either until they answer those questions. And what it does is it draws out the answer. They don't know these answers consciously, but subconsciously, if you ask the right questions, how do you want to feel in this space? You know, what does this space mean to you? Those type of questions, they will give you real answers, but they'll give them from their heart. And they'll be answering questions in a way where they'll be surprising themselves with the answers. They'll be hearing these answers for the first time. And it'll give them clarity. And you know, the best thing of all, when you ask those questions and they answer them, and they're surprised by their answers, and they're learning as you're answering these questions, you know what they're going to say? Wow, this architect is really good. This architect is really good. Because just in this conversation with him or her, they have helped me understand what I'm really trying to do here. And I have so much more, they'll say things like, you know, you probably get this sometimes anyway, but I have so much more clarity about what we're trying to do here now. I'm so grateful for this conversation. And they'll be unable to go anywhere else. You know, you do the LCC for them. If they go ahead with the project, it's yours, because you've helped them understand what they're really trying to achieve. And that's a powerful thing.